I am not anti-government. I am anti the government that it is turning into. I do not want this socialist, controlling, communist-type government. I have been watching communism since I was in grade school. I was interested in all this stuff. I have seen the overthrow of our government from within, and that's what we're facing now. It's being gradually overthrown. And with the administration we have now, there's no gradualism, no progressivism. It is flat being flaunted in our faces how they are changing us to a communist, socialist, Marxist system. Sorry, I ranted again.
That's what happens when the government...
When your liberties are being stolen from you, when you've watched from the beginning, when you see what's happening, when you're forced into things, we are being... What is happening now is the government is becoming either God or the plantation owner. To many people, the government is God because they bow down to him and say, give me this, give me that, and their God government gives them that in exchange for their vote. In the other essence, if it's the plantation owner owns you, owns everything you make, owns everything you do, tells you what and when you can do what and where you want to do it, and then they take care of you. It's the same sort of thing, a plantation owner versus God versus government. It's idolatry worship, it's anti-Christian, and it's anti-God.
Anti-liberty.
Well, anti-liberty. God is liberty. God gave us our rights. God granted us our rights. And everybody's going to this civil rights. No, I want my God-given rights, not civil rights. You can keep your civil rights. I want my God-given rights. Thank you very much. The government's civil rights, what government gives, government can take away. If government's giving you, it's just like government's giving handouts. They can take that away at any time. When God gives you something, of course God can take it away at any time too, but at least you know that God is in control and not some man who wants to smash your fingers and take out your fingernails and get you to say that you did something that you didn't. Or when you're going to court to testify, they intimidate you so that you can't tell the truth because you're scared to death of them, because they want to protect some policeman's wife's ability to get paid for the rest of her life out of tax dollars.
You know, I was thinking about that, and they did a guy for drunk driving to hit those sheriffs.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, it wasn't all the drunk driver's fault.
No,
because
it wasn't.
The officers admitted, or told you to leave, and admitted they can handle themselves, and
Yep.
they didn't care about their safety. When you warned them, they could not be seen.
I warned them that they
so,
could not be seen there, and that's exactly where they were hit.
Excuse my language, but they fucked that drunk driver.
Yeah.
And he should be able to get some kind...
Died in jail.
Get out,
right.
Or if he's still there, or...
He died in jail.
Really?
He died in jail.
Well, they put him there, and they caused that death in there because the officers should have been charged with some kind of contributory negligence.
When he left where he left, apparently somebody had threatened him there. So he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. You know. I know, and the way they had that set up at the accident scene, and I had told them they couldn't be seen there. It was a misty, rainy night. Told them to be careful, they couldn't be seen there. And then I was told I could not tell the court that. And then they made me feel like, you know, are you sure you talked to this man? Are you sure this was the man you talked? Yeah, I was sure. But I wasn't allowed to say anything. Oh, my God. That's not justice.
Nope, that's Big Brother corruption.
It's not justice.
Good old boy network.
Well, and I was scared to death. They intimidated me. And...
Well, I just lived it again. They just threatened me with, you know, I'm not allowed at the sheriff's
I mean,
department.
Is this the way we're supposed to live in this country?
Well, history repeats itself, so they're asking for it all.
That's why I'm saying, with all that I have endured and the history that I know, this is the way it begins. And if the domino effect is not stopped, we'll be just like Nazi Germany.
Well, I did hear a guy call into the radio show, and his view was he would stop someone from coming in his house. He didn't care. And a man's home is his castle. And now that everybody knows that the SWAT team will go in and murder you, I think that gives everybody the right of premeditated self-defense further.
Well, they have their right to go home, yes, but you have your right to be home. You have your right to be secure in your
I'm sorry.
home.
When they're acting as a firing squad, they do not have the right to go home.
No.
They should have went in with safeties. They should have told him lower his gun. They had bulletproof vests and shields. They could have got him before he went to work. Yes. They did it wrong, like Sheriff Richard Mack said.
They got him when he came home from work. I mean, they didn't have an arrest warrant, so they could have, when he got home from work, showed up and said, okay, we have a search warrant. We're going to go into your house. That would have been more appropriate than banging down the door, playing Gestapo. It's all
they weren't playing. It was for reals.
Yeah. Well, they're playing their little game.
Now they're trying to pretend they weren't.
It's just like when they came to my mom's house, and they told us we either had to stay in the house or leave, and I said we have no place to go. They said, well, stay in the house. And I said, why? What's the matter? They said, there's a bomb across the street. I said, no way. That guy doesn't do bombs, and besides, he hasn't been there for 2 weeks. There's no reason for you guys to be pulling all this stuff.
You mean they made a false statement to you?
Yeah, there was no...
Oh, so cops do lie.
There was no bomb in there, and nobody had been there for...
Liar, liar, the cop's a liar. If you guys want to charge me with false reporting...
Listen to me.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Not only did they destroy the house, which now had been purchased by another person, it didn't even belong to that person anymore, who they were going in and destroyed the house for. They pulled the window frame out of the window. They destroyed. It was total destruction.
So there was criminal damage, as you saw.
Criminal damage. After I had told them, no, there was nobody there. There hadn't been anybody there for over 2 weeks. And no, he didn't make bombs. They went ahead and...
Oh, so they lost their probable cause after talking to you, and then they went in. That's where they told you to go in, so you couldn't be a witness.
And then they brought in their little bomb thingy and did their flash bombs in the middle of the night. This was crazy.
Did that disturb the peace and quiet of the neighborhood? Were you disturbed by it?
Well, I was disturbed when they told me when it was hot inside. They told me I had to go back inside.
But the noise is disturbing the peace issue. Were you disturbed by the noise?
I was disturbed by their presence. And after I had told them that there was no bombs over there, my God, I knew the guy. I mean, sure, he was a little weirded out and stuff at times, but, I mean, that was crazy. You know, I mean, they said they saw it inside the back door. Well, what?
You're a producer with the T.C.C.?
I've been a volunteer producer for years.
Are you going to put on any shows about these current issues coming up anytime shortly?
I don't know. Apparently they don't want, well, the city doesn't misappropriated the funds for Access Tucson that we pay as Cox Cable subscribers, so they misappropriated those funds, so Cox isn't getting it anymore. So I don't even know. I mean, so cable isn't getting it anymore, so I don't even know how long that'll last. You know, I mean, this city is out of control. Well, the country's out of control. It's no longer the civil peace officer country that I grew up under. It's become, and I don't care what anybody says, it is a militarized police department. It is no longer a peaceful police department. And the war on drugs makes it a war against all of us citizens. There's a war on having cash in your house. My God.
Well, I got to ask you a question on
cash is legal.
On the war on drugs, I forgot my question now.
That's easy to do in this situation.
Oh, yeah, on the war on drugs. See, if that's what they were going on into the Marines' house for under the pretense of the war on drugs, in any war you're allowed to defend yourself, period.
Exactly.
And they're trying to play some goody two-shoes. Oh, it's a war on drugs. Oh, it's a...
Well, if they went, and this is a war on drugs, yes, he should have his right to defend himself.
He absolutely did, because they called it a war on drugs. He has that right of self-defense in a war on drugs. In any war, you have that right. They're trying to mix and match stuff. And
interesting. I didn't even think about that point of view.
I see things that other people don't see.
It's interesting. Well, you know, any cash you possess is considered proof that you do drugs.
Oh, well then let's take out the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, well, every single piece.
Let's get them out of there, because then they must be doing a lot of drugs, because they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they probably possess a lot, too.
Yeah, well.
And the Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express. Well, I think this makes for a good rant and rave. This concludes this official TTRT documentation now.